Frontier of BCI, Neuralink. So what if you could control a computer just by thinking? I know it sounds like something straight out of science fiction, but for a few people, it's already their reality. Today, we are going to dive into Neuralink, the company that's building a direct link between the human brain and our digital world. And it all starts with their very first patient. This is a quote from Neuralink's first ever human patient. Today, the very next day after getting his implant, which is called telepathy, he spent 9 hours playing a really complex strategy game. Now, for someone with paralysis, you got to understand this isn't just about playing a game. This is about getting your independence back, reconnecting with the world in a way that just wasn't possible before. It's an absolutely profound and immediate change. So that leads to the big question, right? How on earth does this actually work? How do you take the electrical storms firing away inside our skulls, our thoughts, our intentions, to move and actually translate them into commands that a computer can understand? Well, that is the core question we're going to unpack right now. To really get the technology, first we have to understand the problem they are trying to solve. This is all about turning a thought directly into an action. So the first big mission for telepathy is to help people who are quadriplegic, paralyzed from the neck down. For people with really severe spinal cord injuries or disease like ALS, their mind is perfectly fine, it's sharp, but the connection to the body is broken. Telepathy is trying to build a new bridge, a digital one, to cross that gap. And the results, they're already pretty mind-blowing. People aren't just playing games, they are creating art using robotic arms. And in one just incredible moving case, a patient with ALS used the system to speak to his kids in his own voice for the first time. I mean, this isn't some promise for the future. This is happening right now. And check this out, the level of engagement is just staggering. The number of patients is still pretty small right now, but their average daily use is 8 hours. That tells you this isn't some gimmick or a novelty. It's becoming a totally essential part of their lives for work, for creativity, for just connecting with people. Okay, so we've seen the incredible impact, the why. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty of the technology that makes it all happen. What exactly is a brain-computer interface? At its heart, a BCI is basically a system that can read information from the brain and eventually write information back to it. For now, Neuralink is really focused on the reading part, listening to the brain signals for wanting to move. You can really break the whole Neuralink system down into three main parts, three pillars. First, you've got the implant itself. It's about the size of a quarter, and its job is to capture the brain signals. Second, you need a crazy, sophisticated robot to actually perform the surgery. And finally, you have the software, the brains of the operation, that decodes what it all means. So let's look at each one. First up, the robot. And believe me, you need a robot for this. You can't just have a human surgeon trying to place these unbelievably delicate threads into the brain. The level of precision you need is just beyond what a human hand can do. So they had to invent their own robotic surgeon. And this slide just perfectly lays out the challenge. Operating on the brain is insanely difficult. The texture is as soft as tofu or jello, and it's not sitting still. It's constantly moving with every single heartbeat, every breath. Plus, it's just packed with tiny blood vessels that you absolutely cannot hit. The robot has to navigate all of this with microscopic accuracy. And the tech is getting better fast. The newest robot, the left hand, can insert over 10 of the implant's threads in the same amount of time it takes the current one to insert just a single thread. That kind of speed is absolutely critical for making the whole procedure safer and eventually way more accessible. The ultimate goal here is to get this whole surgical procedure down to under an hour. Think about that. The long-term dream is to make this as routine as getting LASIK eye surgery, something so quick and easy you could, in theory, get it done on your lunch break. Wild. Okay, so the robot has done its job. The implant is in place. Now what? Well, here comes the next massive challenge. How do you actually decode what the brain is saying? This is where the implant hardware and the really clever software have to work together. This slide shows a massive engineering problem they had to solve. The implant generates a torrent of data, way too much to send wirelessly over something like Bluetooth. So what's the solution? They process the data on the chip itself. It's smart enough to filter out all the noise and only detect the really important neural spikes, the signals that actually mean I want to move before sending that much smaller, manageable packet of information out. And here's another fascinating problem. Your brain isn't static. Its signals actually change day to day, even hour to hour. They call it neural non-stationarity. So right after you calibrate the device, the software can easily tell the difference between, say, move left and move right. But a few days later, those signals can drift and start to overlap. It means the software can't just be static either. It has to constantly adapt and recalibrate, basically learning right alongside the user's brain. Okay, so that's where we are right now. But the ambition here, it goes so much further than just moving a cursor on a screen. Let's take a look at what the future of Neuralink could be. 10,000. That's how many people are on the patient registry right now, waiting for a chance to use this technology. The demand is just immense, which is exactly why scaling the whole procedure, making it safer and faster, is such a huge focus for them. And the applications are just going to explode from here. The company is already working on ways to not just read from the motor part of the brain, but to write signals back in. The goals, things like restoring the sense of touch, creating a form of vision for the blind by stimulating the visual cortex, and even restoring hearing and speech. And this is the big one, the ultimate vision. It's not about making core single product for one single condition. The goal is a whole brain interface, a flexible platform that could read from and write to any part of the brain. And that really is the question that could define the next century of technology, isn't it? When we can truly interface with our own brains, what does that mean for disease, for human ability, for what it even means to be human? The journey has only just begun, but it forces us to think about the incredible, limitless possibilities locked inside that 3-pound universe between our ears.